I'm John.
I'm Afonso.
I'm Darren.
And welcome to the Scat Cast. We don't know either. All right, so getting started with today, I'm not super on social media, as you guys know. I'm pretty I'm an
Monk
old man.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm off the grid. I'm just a little old man. But I have noticed, especially with younger generations, a lot of their information does come from TikTok, and a lot of my friends are on TikTok, and they have stuff like TikTok Academy and shit like that.
What is TikTok Academy?
It's literally where you just learn shit off of TikTok. Like random people can just make content to teach you about stuff, and
It's just TikTok.
Yeah.
No, it's like an actual tag called TikTok Academy.
Well, they had they used to have a it was right next to your For You page. It was called the science some shit, and it was just a feed for STEM, mathematics, science,
It might be some
biology,
adjacent.
Last time I was on TikTok, which was a year ago, I wasn't there, so I forgot when they removed it.
Okay, but generally with that, that's cool, but it's also, we're in the age of information where it doesn't matter if you're right, it just matters if you say it first. And so I think that a lot of people did the Tide Pods start on TikTok? Or was that was TikTok, right?
Probably.
Yeah, it was shit like that where people just see someone doing something and think they because obviously that video was fake. The person didn't actually fucking eat the Tide Pods, but just because you now saw that so many young people sent themselves to the fucking ER, and it's shit like that.
Yeah.
My favorite trend was the sleepy chicken trend.
What, the NyQuil chicken?
Yeah, the NyQuil chicken. This shit's so funny.
There's been a lot of very ridiculous trends over the years.
Yeah, but people believe this shit so wholeheartedly. Motherfuckers really thought they could just eat concentrated detergent and be fine.
And to be fair, Facebook does the same thing. These fucking anti-vax people trying to detox their body with everything under the counter.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
I was thinking of the guy who drank Little Boy pee. I was like, they probably do some shit that too.
The guy from Nathan For You.
Yeah.
No, wasn't the Tide Pod stuff fake?
The original was fake.
The original video was fake, but people
took it as real.
did the challenge kind of thing.
But I thought no one actually ended up going to the hospital.
Multiple people did actually. Cause
it was the Momo stuff. There was a lot of stuff that said people went to the hospital.
I know
but
the
it never
sleepy
actually
chicken
happened.
thing.
You don't remember that? It was the thing going around for a while where it was the sculpture that a Japanese person made, and it started sending around to people. It's send this to 15 people.
The girl?
Yeah, it's I want to make you kill yourself.
Was it a bird girl? She had a fucked up face?
Yeah, but people never sent the face part of it.
Okay.
No, I know the sleepy chicken challenge was faked. It was a fake satirical video.
Really?
And then but actually mainstream news picked it up and thought it was serious, but nobody actually did it.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those meme things. It just looks really funny though, because they did a really good job at parodying the Tide Pod stuff, because it's this young woman just instructing you how to make NyQuil chicken.
Yeah.
And it's just all right, so now I'm gonna measure out this much NyQuil, and then we're gonna put it on the chicken, and we're gonna punch the hole so the chicken absorbs the medicine, and then we're gonna put it back in the container for later. Now we're gonna boil the chicken. It looks like a legitimate TikTok cooking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then actual mainstream news picked it up and perpetuated it it was a serious thing when it really wasn't. They kind of, if anything, gave it more traction.
Now, on the Father's Day episode, we didn't get to do NyQuil chicken, but I wonder about the logistics, because Pepto-Bismol chicken actually worked.
I don't know if it worked in the sense that it made me have to shit. It just kind of
It tasted like Pepto-Bismol.
It tasted like Pepto, but I don't know if it had the medicinal... I'm sure it did.
Pepto is just bismuth, so I mean, if it wasn't destroyed in the process of you cooking it, it did help your stomach, I guess.
Oh.
That's a mineral, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a chemical.
Medicine and chicken.
Okay,
boiling
actually,
something in medicine.
As someone in the medical field, is that completely you can't make NyQuil chicken, or is it possible to make NyQuil chicken?
Well, I'm afraid you would destroy the medication with the heat you're cooking the chicken at.
Okay.
That's why you can't store some medications in your car, because it will degrade the medication and then it loses effectiveness. But I mean, if you fed the chicken a shit ton of that stuff and it seeped into its flesh, because you know how antibiotics in chickens, well, it will rub off into the actual meat, and then you're eating antibiotics.
Isn't that called biomagnification or some shit like that?
Maybe I never heard of that.
Because when an organ
sounds real.
Yeah, because predators eat the prey that gets the pollution.
Salmon
doesn't get the pollution.
Same thing with microplastics.
Yeah. Because salmon can live with pollution, but the tiger that eats the salmon gets just pollution.
So hypothetically speaking, you could go to a chicken farm and lace all of their seeds or whatever with Fent, and then all of a sudden
You're just gonna eat
The
overdosed
best
chicken.
fucking KFC ever just opens up.
That's what I'm
around
saying.
the corner.
And then they actually like send this shit out to people, and then all of a sudden there's like a fentanyl crisis because there's fentanyl inside of all the chicken. You know, like McDonald's, fucking KFC.
Well,
like,
that means if the
shit, too.
FDA drops the ball and just like, that looks good to me.
I mean, would they even check for that? Is that how that works?
Actually, I don't even know how the FDA even checks for shit in the
Like, do
place.
they get every single chicken and like pull a fucking sample of their
No,
fucking
they
blood
do.
or something?
They do examinations, like inspections,
Like
kinda
batches?
like health inspectors are
Yeah.
with the FDA. So they go through and they look at stuff. If somebody, in the event that somebody is poisoned by like a medication or like a food product, then they will like investigate, and then that's why like if it's a medication, they want to know like the lot number and the like all that, so they know which batch it came from. And then they can trace that out and like warn people or pull it from shelves before it gets sold.
Okay.
Kind of thing. That's why that's the thing. Like you guys ever hear the Tylenol murders in like
No.
1980 something in like Chicago?
No.
There was a grocery store, and this was before medications like over the counter had like those seals you have on your medications.
Yeah,
like you open
childproof
it and
seals?
there's a it's like a I think it's childproof seal. It's like a paper seal. You have to like punch through with your finger or peel it off.
Yes. It's not just a
Yeah,
open
I think it's in
bottle?
food products too.
Yeah.
But
I thought for
yeah,
freshness.
before
It's a seal. It's not like for freshness.
I don't know, but for medications, it's to prevent people poisoning it, because that's what happened in Chicago in like 1980 something.
Okay.
Like there was a grocery store, and this was before they had that paper seal on. So somebody went to the Tylenol section and they put this I forgot what poison it was, but they put a poison in like the Tylenol bottles and then put it back on the shelves. And then like that day, I think it was like around 10-ish people dropped dead. And the only thing common between them, like the age was different. Like, some were still in high school, middle school. Some were like out working literally as like doctors. Some were like businessmen. They lived in like totally different parts of like Chicago. But the only common thing is they all took Tylenol that day. So, they were able to do an investigation and they found the Tylenol bottles. It was like, they noticed the common thread was that they had Tylenol a couple hours before they fell asleep or they died or. So
What, did they put like cyanide in it or something?
I think it was cyanide.
Yeah.
It might have been cyanide, because cyanide's also really easy to obtain. I think that's
Really?
Yeah, you can just buy it, because cyanide is used to glisten like gold. If you're a jeweler, you use cyanide to make the gold make the gold look nice.
Aren't there seeds and stuff that have cyanide
Apple
in it too?
seeds.
Yeah, but it's that's different. Like I know with a peach core, you'd have to eat like 50 or 70 of
How the fuck
them.
would you even eat a peach core?
Yeah, but if
Exactly.
you like 50 or 70 of them would be enough to kill you. But that
But I think you eat like 10 apple cores and you can tap yourself out.
I don't think it's 10. I think it's like 30 or something. But
You eat quite a few apple.
I mean,
cores.
regardless, it probably won't be that hard to like blend it.
almonds,
something.
if you get raw almonds,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
that'll
It doesn't.
pack.
They don't contain cyanide. They contain a chemical that will like your body will turn into cyanide. But yeah, raw almonds, you can die with like literally eating like 5 of them. Yeah.
Like,
but anyway, they investigated the Tylenol. And then immediately after that, it was it Johnson and Johnson? I'm pretty sure. What it was like that was the brand of Tylenol. It was really bad for like their PR, obviously.
Yeah.
So the first thing they did was put the seals on, but it actually ended up helping their business, because now that they had the paper seals on, people thought they had like the safest medication. So then it boosted their sales, and then everybody kind of followed suit, and then the FDA made it law.
Yeah, it's some sick.
That's a
fucks out
smart
here.
law.
Yeah.
No, but like that is some like you have like you. Because in the 1980s, right, you said this when it happened. That's like you ate some lead paint as a child and you were just demented ever since. So, I'm going to do a bit of trolling and just
Those were
murder.
like the 50s.
Huh?
Those were like the 50s.
Oh, never mind.
Lead paint, yeah.
Asbestos, whatever the fuck was like a chemical in the 80s that made you a little loopy. But like that is just like, I've always heard about like razor blades and poison apples, but this motherfucker really
I think that was a myth too, actually.
razor blades and poison apples.
Mhm. Yeah, like the Halloween stuff.
Wait,
Yeah.
What is this?
Like, like the
Parents
stuff.
would tell you like they'll check your candy for like,
Oh,
holes
yeah.
and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
a myth back in like the 80s or 90s that people were like putting razor blades in like Halloween candy and shit like that, and like poisoning them and everything. I don't think that ever actually happened. Like, which is surprising. You'd think someone would be like fucking crazy and do it at some point, but I think it might have happened like once, but like after, like in the 2010s. Or
By the
some
way, they never caught the person responsible for the cyanide
Obviously,
poisoning.
like, security cameras either?
They never caught them.
shit. I mean, they probably don't even know like where it came from specifically. Just
They
that it was
literally
in
had
Thailand.
no leads for who it could have been.
Damn.
What if someone just made an oopsie daisy? What was an accident?
No.
Someone accidentally put fucking cyanide in all of those bottles.
Yeah.
My mistake. I thought I was adding more Tylenol.
No, they kind of just called it a day after a couple years, and they were like, "Yeah, it was just a random act of terror."
Yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So no security. No one saw
There
anything.
were absolutely no leads. Like I think there was like a potential lead where they thought it might have been someone at the packaging plant, or maybe it was somebody disgruntled with
Johnson and Johnson.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It was literally one of
Like
either
an
the people.
got...
Yeah, an ex-employee basically. Or there was another lead where it might have been like the wife of somebody who worked for Johnson and Johnson, and they like cheated on them, so she wanted to get back at them by
So you
poisoning
murder
them.
innocent children?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is with
How's
these,
that even like getting back at someone if they don't get outed to begin with?
Because
like,
they work for Johnson and Johnson.
He's not
So
gonna lose his
what?
job. The fuck?
It's like one of the worst fucking like revenge plots ever.
That was like
why
that
would you ever do
fucking
that?
Jack the Ripper shit. But like, if the lady was cheated on, she just started killing prostitutes. It's like, what the fuck? Where's the logic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Getting random children killed is like the exact opposite of what you'd probably want to have happen there.
Yeah, that's not revenge. That's just petty. That's not even petty. That's just blatant acts of terrorism.
Yeah.
Just
Random acts of terror.
random acts of terrorism. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are just fucked up too. Maybe someone was just having a bad day. Like,
No
fuck
fucking way. You just said it only takes one bad day.
it. That's literally some shit the Joker would do. He would
That's what
absolutely
they say
do
about
that.
school shooters.
What,
Just
one
like
bad day?
There's one bad day they can snap and then shoot up people.
They get bullied at the wrong
Yeah.
place at the wrong time. It's like, well, fuck, I got my dad's gun, so.
I don't know. With the school shooters and shit, that's just built up like over years. Like them like going down fucking like rabbit holes online and all
And
that.
then
Well,
they
also
and then they
mentally
have that bad
unstable,
day.
all of
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like usually they have like shit like ingrained to them in their mind. Like people tell them certain things or whatever, and that's usually how it gets to that point. They'll go there and like, oh, I don't know, like I don't know, like I guess the incel rabbit hole and shit like that. A lot of the time is like the same type of
Not
thing.
even like just only the incel rabbit hole, but it's also like what we were talking about earlier. How like people with guns usually are like a pussy to like they're too afraid to shoot them. It's like that idea is like now they feel power. It is like as much as like it's crazy, but like guns are cool. Guns are cool.
I think guns are cool.
Guns are like they're a catch-all because they make the weak powerful, but they make the weak-minded even more powerful. And it's kind of like, you know, a woman can now protect her child from danger, but also a dude who's a little socially awkward with like a little ooh, you know, can just go up to like a random mosque or a fucking the Mandalay and just lay people out.
Or just kill the children that they're supposed to be protecting, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've never understood the mindset of like why would you go to a school filled with a bunch of people who've done like nothing. Like it's one thing if you went to the school and you were bullied by the kids at the school, but if you're like a grown adult going to a place with children and just killing
Sandy
random
Hook,
children, that doesn't
the
make any
dude
sense.
was the boyfriend to the teacher. I don't know why he decided to kill children.
That's crazy.
It was two dudes for Sandy Hook, wasn't it? Or am I thinking of
Dude,
the...
Columbine.
Oh, Columbine. Okay,
Columbine's
yeah.
two dudes, and those are high schoolers. But that's why trench coats are banned. I forgot.
Yeah.
But no, with Sandy Hook, he used to date the teacher, and then he just laid out her classroom, which I don't even.
That's crazy. Like
that's
just,
the correlation that just makes no fucking sense to me.
like I mean, look, I'm not pro murder in any sense.
I like how he
just
just
kill the teacher. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck do those kids do?
I don't like when like. I forgot. I think I was talking to you earlier about the people who want to take multiple people with them to death. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially like the innocence of the innocence, you know?
Yeah.
these motherfuckers were learning like their ABCs and shit. The fuck, like, what grudge do you have against just life? And I mean, I guess I don't. Some people just go down dark paths and they just say fuck it.
Why can't you go to like a corporate headquarters or something and shoot them up? Why does it got to be kids? Again, I don't condone violence.
No, I was gonna say, I wasn't gonna
like-
kill anyone. Like, I mean, fuck.
But I think it's like, I think not that I'm a murderer, or anything, but like I'm trying to like psychoanalyze. My mom used to watch a lot of crime shows. If I have to get into a mind of someone who's that like fucked up, I think it's almost like. Okay, so I'm not gonna name any names, but I know people, and I've been around people who are weak-minded. And so even in their weak mindset, they don't pick on strong people. If they perceive them as strong, they don't fight them. What is the weakest, easiest target you can pick on? A child.
yeah.
And women. And what 9 times out of 10, who catches the most flack from bullets and random shootings? Women and children. Like, just logically speaking, if you shot up a room full of guys, there is at least a 10% chance at least 2 of the guys will rush you and try to take you down. Just bare minimum. If you're shooting men, someone's gonna have a fight or fight, and they're gonna pick fight. Women and children, their first instinct is to run and hide. So it's usually
most people choose flight first, but if it's a situation where you're cornered, your flight will kick in, right? But then your body realizes there's nothing they can fucking do, so then the fight kicks in, and it happens in like less than a fucking second. It's crazy. I saw a video of this. It was also for that class I took. It was the psychoneurological pathways class.
Yeah.
And it was a video of this. It was a police station, and a gunman walked into the police station.
Who the fuck walks into a police station with a gun? Like, what are these people doing?
But then this guy was at the counter talking to the police person at the desk, probably trying to get something back, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the dude walks in with a gun. The teller sees that, fucking shuts, like puts the bulletproof casing over, locks all the shit. That's what they're taught to do. Like you can't. Like, sorry, guy. Like,
not getting in.
Yeah. So his you see his flight kick in, where he like he tries to like jump there, but she already put the thing down. He tries to go to the door and it's locked. Like within like that was like 1 second. He knows he's fucked. Switches the fight, just rushes the guy and takes him down.
Oh, the guy's stuck in the room with him?
No, the guy with the gunman. He rushes the gunman. The gunman like doesn't shoot him, and he just totally takes him down. Like after the fight kicks in.
Okay. Damn. So I guess the gunman, but like we talked about earlier, like I guess the natural instinct isn't to kill somebody because then I guess you understand if you kill someone, the consequence is even worse, so that makes you hesitate, which is cool. That
I don't think the majority of people want to kill someone.
But it's a crazy thing. Like
it's kind of weird. Like I know we were talking about this earlier, where like if you're getting robbed and somebody is like you're using the gun for intimidation. If you walk into a police station with a weapon, who are you trying to intimidate? Like you're definitely going there to inflict some kind of harm.
Yeah.
So
well, some people like they just want to be seen, and that's like the only way they'll get attention.
That's true too.
Yeah, but like I don't know if it's like a hood saying, but I've been around a couple like old heads, and like one thing, especially because they've been to prison, they're like, yeah, if you ever pull out a gun, you need to shoot it. Like because you can't pull, especially with someone who's been around guns, like you can't just flex a gun how these people like just show guns, because the other person who doesn't have a gun on them immediately is going to come back and shoot you immediately, because you don't escalate the situation. If you have a gun and you know you're not going to shoot somebody, don't pull it out.
Yeah.
But if you pull that shit out, you better be ready to kill a motherfucker. That at least that was the old head hood mindset. Like you can't just make false empty threats. Either you're killing, because isn't there like also with the stand your ground thing? If you injure the person but you don't kill them.
Yeah, like castle doctrine.
Yeah, you can't technically, like if like you're standing your ground, you have to kill them. There is no I injured. Like no.
There's no such thing as a warning shot.
Yeah, like
in a lot of states.
You're in danger of your life, or you're playing around. So there's one or the other. And it's that same mindset, which is like really interesting to think about, especially when it comes to like the psychology of people. Because most people don't necessarily want to inflict violence, but they will. On that same note, people who are looking to inflict violence don't want that violence inflicted on them. So it's like this weird mental struggle to where like you hesitate. There's this weird thing of like hesitation with people. And I feel like that's what comes to a robber, because the robber just wants value in your stuff. They don't want value in your life, because imagine if a robbery goes wrong and they kill you. Now
it's a lot of heat on them.
It's a lot of heat on them,
as opposed to just theft.
Exactly, theft, like armed, like aggravated. Isn't like
now
aggravated
they could
assault?
Get life or death depending on the state.
Aggravated assault's like a big slap on the wrist, but it's not like the worst situation.
It's a felony.
Yeah,
killing somebody, and you don't get to keep the stuff is even a bigger problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, be smart, not stupid. Let's just, work for your stuff. I don't know. That's a crazy notion. Ever decided to just go to like a fucking Goodwill or a fucking Salvation Army and get some shit? They got pretty nice stuff. I used to fucking volunteer at those places. If you need some new shoes, they got you. You don't have to just fucking pull up on the random guy, try to mug his J's,
At least just don't shoot him.
At the very least.
Bare minimum, just don't shoot him. If you're going to rob him, just don't shoot him.
Even if they rush you to get the gun off you, just be like, you know what? I choose life.
Yeah.
I choose life.
I mean, it could be Britain, too. You could just have people running up and stabbing you.
That is where, like, I draw the fucking line. If there's a motherfucker with a knife, I'm killing him. Because there is no way in hell you're going to poke me with that. Like, there is no... Like, dude, I'm a needle phobic. A gunshot is quick. Yeah. In the sense of, like, either I'm going to be bleeding out, or I'm going to be running away. A knife means they have to overpower you and then poke you a lot.
Well, they never stab you once, too.
Yeah. They can.
Look at that shit, yeah.
I was listening to I think it was a Tyler Oliveira video where he was talking about like the British dude with knives and how he was talking about he got stabbed. Like the dude came back twice.
That's crazy.
Because like the first time he stabbed, because you're like you don't know how many stabs it takes to kill a person because everyone's different. So he stabbed him like 6 times the first time and left him bleeding on the ground. And then like he walked away and the guy like kind of passed out. Then he started like crawling. And then the dude was like, "Oh shit, he's still alive." Came back, and then like tried to finish the job. And then like I forgot at that point he thought he killed him, but then he did the one, for good measure. And then by the grace of God, like the dude was bleeding out slowly enough for someone to be like, "There's someone on the ground bleeding."
Yeah.
And he lived. And so now he like
How many times did he get stabbed?
10 plus, all over the body.
Yeah. That's great. Anytime you see like someone who like gets killed from stab wounds, it's almost always like 39 times or some fucking
Most
absurd
stabbings
number.
in those situations are intimate. That means they know the person, so it's less
It's
of like
definitely like a crime of passion.
it's a crime because they want to
yeah.
hurt you. So like they're not thinking about okay, they're dead after 15. It's like I want you to
It's
suffer.
like them venting or whatever
Yeah,
in the moment.
like the fucking those voodoo dolls with the pin cushions.
Yeah, or like
Quite literally the equivalent of that, but in real life.
like the white kid punching a hole in the wall type of thing. It's like letting their anger out.
But it's not my wife.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ.
At least you didn't throw her in a septic tank this time.
True.
Yeah.
God.
Speaking of wives, I'm down a rabbit hole.
Involving wives?
Yeah, about wives. So, you guys ever hear like the Unification Church? Because they have some of the largest weddings in the world. Like they're really like well known for their wedding ceremonies that will like marry 2,000 or so like couples at a time. It's like a mass
2,000?
wedding.
I hate
Yes,
to
like
tie this
thousands of couples.
Into Chancellor Man and Glaze a bit, but I don't know if he did that on purpose, but he actually there's a whole arc where like the Chainsaw Man, like he's so popular, he gets a cult following, and they do a lot of child marriages, and they do like mass marriages of children because they're like
These aren't children, but
I mean, the children like young adults
Okay.
type thing, not children, but like young adults who were getting married in droves because in the Chainsaw Man universe you make like contracts and shit like that, but basically it makes you more powerful to fight like demons and shit. And so that's really fun because he's Japanese. I'm like that might have been a connection because he wrote that around the same time that I think this shit was going on.
yeah.
Yeah, the only stuff I know about the Unification Church is the doohickey and all that stuff.
Doohickey.
Literally the only thing I know about it is the doohickey.
I'm gonna go into it.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
So
if
the
you're going to go into it for later, I'll let the audience
so
hear later.
the Unification Church has about 3 million followers worldwide, right?
How many are in Japan? Do you know?
A lot.
A lot.
I don't know how many.
Could you say majority are in Japan?
Majority are Korean
Oh.
because it's a Korean church.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So the cult was founded by this guy, Sun Myung Mun. Sun Moon. Right.
Okay.
We're just gonna call him Moon for now.
Okay.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
I don't
kinda hard.
Yeah. Sun. Was it Sun Myung Mun? Yeah. Sun Myung
It was a
Moon.
living eclipse. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Really, though?
And it's funny because it's like a Christian branch
Yeah.
cult.
Oh, they believe in Jesus?
Yeah. So it's like a Christian cult, but they also have like Confucian beliefs in there, along with like the yin and yang and all that.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So, Moon was born in Korea during Japanese rule in the 1920s. Born on January 6th, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, he was born Presbyterian Christianity. That's what his like family worshipped, as well as like Confucian beliefs. And
You said 1920?
1920.
So
He's
it's a 100-year-old cult now.
hun-
Okay.
yeah, 100 years ago. He didn't start the cult in 1920. That's when he was born.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Right.
the founder, this is an ongoing thing for at least 100 years.
Yeah, but he was Presbyterian Christian mainly. But then in 1945, he attended the Israel Jesus Church in Seoul, Korea. And this was like right after the Japanese pulled out of the Korean Peninsula after World War II. That's when he started preaching, right? And then also in 1945, he traveled to Pyongyang, which was now communist North Korea. But they believed him to be a South Korean spy. So they threw him in a labor camp for 5 years and then sent him back to South Korea.
Visiting, they just assumed he was a spy.
He was preaching and stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
they thought he was from the South, spying on them. So they sent him to a concentration camp. He came back in 1955, and then that's when he founded the Unification Church.
So
Right.
35 years old, he makes his own little sect.
Yeah.
Okay.
But allegedly, when he was 15 in 1936, he was visited by Jesus Christ himself on a mountainside.
Why is it always this, like, I met Jesus, bro?
Yeah.
Trust
That's like serene as fuck, though. He was on like a mountainside, right?
My son.
And then Jesus shows up, and he's like 15 years old. And then after this, he takes 9 years to write a book called The Divine Principle, which is basically like, you know how you have like the Old Testament, New Testament, and then there's the divine principles. So they have like 3 books.
So it was like the stereotypical cult thing where Jesus came and told him, like, by the way, here's this other knowledge that you need to spread to other people. So basically. Okay, exactly.
We should have given them plates.
They still like respect the canon of like the Old Testament, New Testament, but then you have this divine principle book, right?
Okay.
And I guess I'll go over that. So they still kind of follow like the creation myth set up in Genesis, where like God made the earth 7 days, whatever. It makes like people, animals, all that. But this is where it differs. God also made the concept of Sun Sang and Young Sang. So Sun Sang is the invisible aspects of the world we can't see. So that'd be like your spirit, ghosts, like spiritual ideas, like thoughts. Consciousness, yes. Okay.
So are they saying it's an actual like
God made your thoughts?
Are they saying it's like an actual like tangible, measurable thing?
It's not tangible because it's invisible.
Or are they saying it's like measurable?
It's quantifiable. Like it is an actual concept that was never existing before.
So this Sun Sang stuff, the invisible parts of the world, those are like feels kind of thing. So like stuff you feel, like emotions and all that. But that is like directly tied to like God.
So he invented vibes.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so those are the vibes. And then Young Sang are the physical aspects of the world. So that would be like, the grass we touch, like our bodies, flesh, all of that. So, and then you also have yin and yang.
Good and bad, like
the source I read, yin and yang, for some reason, like refers to like masculinity and femininity. Yeah. And they use that in like a lot of their texts to talk about things. And then also God established a hierarchy where you have God at the top. In the middle, you have man and women, and then at the bottom, you have children. So that's also where like the Confucian stuff comes in.
That makes sense.
Where like usually in Confucianism, like you go by like a
hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy based off of like age and like family. So you have like the elders at the top, and then like your patriarch, matriarch, and then the kids. They respect those people in like order. Except in this time, it's with God. So you have God at the top, and then the parents and the kids.
That's usually how it is in Christianity too, right? Because you're supposed to like
respect
but it's your mother and father and God and all that stuff too.
But I guess I outlined it more in the Divine Principles book.
Yeah, because that's definitely more of like a Confucianist like ideal specifically.
But this is where it kind of diverges from like the traditional Genesis, because they believed that Eve, not only did she like eat the fruit of knowledge, she had sex with Satan. She had sex with the serpent.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then because of that,
holy shit,
every single like lineage after that has been tainted by Satan. So Satan tainted the Young Sang, like the physical parts of our being. So
Cain was literally just a demon baby. That's why he killed Abel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Holy shit.
And now because of that, they say like all people have what's called the serpent seed in them, because we all have like
we're all part demon basically.
Yeah, we have like Satan in our blood kind of thing. And the goal
is it wrong to say it's kind of hard?
That is kind of hard. It's like the fucking Diablo shit.
Yeah, that's fucking fire. Sin in such like an interesting way. It's like, no, you didn't have sin. You had knowledge, and then she fucked the sinner.
Like that sounds like the setup to some fucking like actual like Chainsaw Man shit. Like
yes,
like a shonen or something. That's crazy.
Like all demon lores or some shit.
Yeah.
I hate like Blizzard a lot, but I really like Diablo and like its lore. I think it's really cool. It's like it's kind of like Christianity with like a
Lilith, I guess, and
you have like Lilith and Inarius, who are angel and demon.
Yeah.
They leave their respective kingdoms and they set up Earth and they give birth to people, which are like the children of demons and angels.
So there's good and bad in both of them.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's like Christianity with like a Greek pantheon.
Yeah. Because they're all like Greek gods. Like there's a Cerberus, some creature. It's like I forget the actual god's name.
Well, you have like literal pantheons in the hells and the heavens.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is also a part of Christianity too, isn't it? Because they talk about like Tartarus and things like that.
But they give them a more like there's no god in Diablo, right? It's
there's
like
gods.
you have gods like the angels, like a court of angels kind of thing.
So kind of like how they do it in like Doom a little bit too.
Sorta, yeah.
Okay.
But in Doom they're like aliens.
Yeah.
They're not like actual like metaphysical beings.
Yeah.
But anyway, the end goal of the followers is now to like reestablish this harmonious relationship with God, right? And that's why they have like the really insane like weddings, right? But also, another thing God established is that in order to achieve this like relationship with Him again after you've been taken by Satan, you have to like master the acts of like giving and receiving.
Okay.
So that's how they tie in like donations into their faith. Yeah, so you like give to the church kind of thing.
So we'll be the receiving then. Damn.
I actually couldn't find an answer.
that's fucked up. Okay.
I guess like receiving salvation. That's that.
I
that
guess.
part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
So
like,
you
you
give
know,
your wealth and then you receive salvation. Your soul is cleansed. And
receiving good karma in a
Yeah.
sense.
But yeah, that's why they have like the mass weddings every year or every couple years, is because when these couples get married, they have like the pastor basically take the serpent seed out of their relationship, so they're pure again.
I feel like every cult says like, oh,
We'll
there's
take
there's
something out of you.
there's something cursed inside of you. We're gonna help you get rid of that.
Yeah. And then Jesus also told Moon that God has made several attempts to restore Earth in the past, like Noah's Ark, but then Noah's son sinned again, so then that failed, and then he sent Jesus down, and then Jesus failed because they fucking crucified him. So then he's telling Moon that you're like the last bastion of hope kind of thing, like you and your followers have to reestablish this connection with God and bring about heaven
He's
on
the chosen
earth.
one.
And,
Yeah, he's the
basically.
protagonist.
And then he, after this is accomplished, it's kind of like a rapture kind of thing where you've heard this in like Latter-day Saints and like a lot of what do you call them? Like the evangelical Christians believe this, where like the rapture is coming. So it's basically a rapture where like Jesus Christ comes back. That's like his second or third resurrection.
And this is after they purify everyone, or is it just like
after they like cleanse the earth kind of thing, right?
Cleanse the earth. I love that term.
Well, cleanse the earth as in like everyone's like unificationist kind of thing. Yeah, and like the church is powerful enough, and this relationship with God has been reestablished. There's a rapture, and then everybody's led to salvation kind of thing. However, some of the followers believe that this could be World War III. Like it's not going to be a rapture. It's going to be World War III that breaks out. Because the cult, he had like some really bad beef with like the fucking North Koreans after being thrown in a fucking labor camp.
Fair.
This religion is like super anti-communist, anti-socialist. So like a lot of people take it the other way and they're like, oh, we need to like go to war with Russia and like purge communism and that shit. So they thought it would be like, a third world war coming.
Why is America not on this shit?
They are.
Oh,
I'm gonna. Yes, it's insane how much fucking political influence this cult has.
Oh shit.
But before that, I'm gonna wrap up the ceremony thing. So like I said, these couples get together in these huge like marriage ceremonies, right? So the first ever ceremony, they married 36 couples.
Okay.
In 1982, 2,000 couples. That's kind of a big jump.
What was the first
In
ceremony
1997, the blessing ceremony, which was hosted in the RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., hosted over 40,000 attendance.
What the fuck? Wait, is that 40,000 people that got married?
No, for the 40,000 attendance.
Okay,
I don't know
okay.
how many of them got married, but that's still like
That's a shit
insane
ton.
number.
At least
Yeah.
half.
And then back to their creation story. They believe that the Korean Peninsula was like the Adam country, like the motherland kind of thing. Like all of, like this is basically going to be the birthplace of all like the good people, the good leaders, like the people who rule the world. They're going to come from Korea. And then, like I said, he was born in Japanese occupied Korea. Didn't like them. Jesus told him the Japanese were called the fallen Eve country. So that's where like all of the, evil of the world comes from. All these terrible leaders come from Japan, which I mean, I guess makes sense from a historical context because the Japanese weren't great to the Koreans. They treated them like
No,
They were pretty
second-class
evil.
citizens.
They were
until that
pretty
point.
shitty in
Yeah.
like the islands too. They were fucking awful in the islands.
yeah.
But okay, so Jesus, who is Middle Eastern, showed up in Asia.
Why not? They're people.
They're still Asian.
But I'm just like, I don't know, the jump.
Does he have to show up in the Middle East again?
Yes. He does. I'm sorry. You gotta be more accurate.
Gotta be consistent.
Yeah, you have to be.
You might have looked Korean to him. I don't know.
I mean,
We depict Jesus as white.
I don't know why y'all do that, but I mean that's just what y'all do.
because of this, so-called the fallen Eve country, he believed that the Japanese have to be subservient to the Koreans now. And then for some reason, like the Koreans always had a harder time getting into the church. They had to always donate more money, and it was harder for them to be invited to like these wedding ceremonies.
Fucking pay to play religions, bro.
Yeah,
It's
Scientology
just
type
crazy.
shit. Yeah.
So, is there any way to be absolved of your sins if you're Japanese? Kind of.
Yeah, it's just a lot more money you have to donate, apparently.
Oh.
To these cults, when they're first gathering followers, like, do you just sit around and be like, "Yo, this nigga's spitting"?
Probably. Yeah.
Like, what? That, like, Jesus talked to a 15-year-old, told him this shit, told him, yo.
I mean, if you're in a position like right after World War II where you've seen some pretty fucked up shit, then it's kind of the same thing as it was with like the
Oh, the Nation of Islam.
yeah, it's like the Nation of Islam. Like their religion was kind of built up as a way to explain like all the fucked up shit that was happening to black people at the time.
Yeah, because he also tied in that shit with the Japanese people.
Exactly. So this is kind of like their way of going through and trying to like rationalize all the fucked up shit that was happening to Koreans at the time.
The religion.
Exactly. So they built a religion around that idea.
Okay, I want to save something for later.
Like the anti-communism.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a pin in that. I want to bring that up later after this because I have something.
So then, roughly like 300 Japanese lawyers got together in 1987. They formed the National Network of Lawyers Against Spiritual Sales. So they kind of just work with like people who have given
against spiritual sales.
Yeah. So that's like cults asking for money. So they primarily take cases against the Unification Church, I think to this very day still, but also like other cults people donate money to. But they're just lawyers that try and get the money back kind of thing. But in 1987, they found that, or they estimated that 123.7 billion Japanese yen, which I did like the math and everything. That's about $1 billion in USD today.
Holy shit.
Was given to the Unification Church. And yeah, that's like, that was just in that year. I'm pretty sure.
Jesus Christ.
Oh
That's
God.
a shit ton of money.
Yeah, this the founder Moon, he was like a fucking multi-billionaire by the time he died.
How long did he live for? Do you know?
He died in 2012.
Oh my!
Like,
he was
yeah,
almost 100.
he was old, and he was still like walking around and like going to those conventions and visiting foreign countries up until his death too.
Wow.
I was gonna get more into that when I go down like date by date, like what happened with him.
Okay.
Do you think he was sitting there like laughing his ass off every time he went home from one of those conventions?
I think at a certain point you believe what you're saying. So he really did just.
And if you have followers, like that probably convinces you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I don't know, because if he said he saw Jesus and he talked to him, like he knows he made that shit up. You know what I mean? Like he's probably sitting there.
15 to a 98-year-old.
I guarantee you, his ass got.
Well, he saw them when he was 15.
Yeah, 15-year-old, and now he's 92 when he died. Like walking around, and all these people believe in you. You're like, obviously, even if like his mind made it up at 15, he's like, I did something.
But he doesn't think he did that.
He obviously did. He got a fucking $1 billion in 1 year.
Maybe he was dehydrated or ate something funny and he fucking hallucinated. I don't know.
I've seen some weird shit on substances.
I 100% believe he's just like suckers every time he gets in a car and goes home.
I don't know if
I guarantee. Like I do not think that he believed he saw Jesus. There's absolutely no way.
Belief is a powerful thing.
I think he believes he runs a really powerful cult.
I'm only saying this because I know how some people take their faith. So if he grew up super Christian,
But he made the faith though.
he grew up in the faith and then made his own section of said faith. Same thing with like Mormonism, same thing with the Nation of Islam. At a certain point, when do lies start becoming the truth?
In the Nation of Islam, he made another fake religion before that one and then made the Nation of Islam.
My point being, lies become the truth when no one knows it's a lie. And if you believe...
I'm saying to the leader, though. The leader knows that shit's a lie. He made that shit up.
When you believe the lie yourself, it's just the truth.
No.
When you believe the lie, it's just the truth.
But so,
When
if you make something up or not, though.
The lie, it's the truth.
If you make two religions...
If I said the sky is green, and that's what I believe till the day I die, that is the truth. And if I can get billions of people, millions of people to believe that shit.
If you said the sky was pink, then one day you're like, actually, no, the sky is green. Like, clearly, after a certain point, it's like, okay, well, he's just making up colors that the sky is.
That's the Nation of Islam. This guy
sky
kept
be
this
pink.
story.
What you said?
This guy can be
It
pink.
can't. Well, you know what I mean, though. Like,
But he made one story and kept it consistent for almost 100 years. So I'll give him credit on that front. He picked one and just kept it that way. So, sky's always been pink, John. It was never
I don't know.
Yeah, it was founded on the principles of intercultural, interracial, and international cooperation. So that's why they want to be like so inclusive. They send all these missionaries like everywhere. Shortly after it was founded, like in 1955, they sent out missionaries to East and Western Europe, including Russia and South America, and then later the United States.
Okay.
In 1972, this dude hated communism so much, like you have no idea. He predicted the end of communism in his book, The Divine Principles. He said, quote, "Communism will fall in its 70th year. Communism was adopted by the Soviet Union in 1922, and the Soviet Union was dissolved in December 1991. That was 69 years.
Hey.
That's crazy.
It was pretty close. 70 years.
Damn.
But obviously, like, communism is still around today. So, I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, it being as dominant as it was definitely fell when the Soviet Union fell. So that's crazy. I think he nailed that shit.
He said it. So he basically called it within a generation.
Called it within a year.
No, I'm saying like he said like 70 years is a generation. Like the old people died out, and then like
50 years.
Old people died out, and the young people are like taking over those spots now. Type shit.
70 years is a very specific number to use.
I feel like that's the average lifespan.
So he thought it would be like the ideology would be alive as long as a person.
But like human life, like to replace, to replace the communist believers with anti-communist believers would take about, like how Freeman was talking about in Islam, took about 100 years. That makes sense. Like you give it about 70 years to just replace it with people like, I don't really agree with these policies. It would take about that much. Like just logically breaking it down number wise.
Now I'm gonna go in chronological order with this shit.
Okay.
In 1974, after they sent people to the United States,
he's now 54.
Moon met up with Richard Nixon in the Oval Office. This is a picture of this man in the Oval Office shaking Richard Nixon's hand.
What the fuck did they talk about?
What are you saying?
Like I said, he funds a lot of conservative campaigns like around the world. He gives them money.
Nixon was funded by the fucking Unification Church?
Allegedly.
What?
Hey, man.
He might have not been because this is when they were first dipping their toes in America.
Yeah.
But after that, they do fund conservative campaigns.
You hate the Reds, so
they funded Donald Trump's campaign.
What?
Word?
They donated him money.
Like
that's Donald Trump went to. I'm gonna get into this later.
What?
Yes. So then he went to visit Nixon because of the Watergate scandal. He thought it would shake the faith of conservative Americans and leave way for Democrats to win the next election. So he went to the United States, visited Nixon, took that picture where they shook hands, and then he called for a 40-day national prayer in Korea for the United States. And at the National Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony in Washington, D.C., which they do, I guess, in December every year, 1,200 Unificationists came and demonstrated support for Nixon.
That's so weird. That's such a random crossover.
Now I'm kind of just going to mention a lot of anti-communist demonstrations they've done. They've done a lot of them, but these are going to be some just examples I'm going to name.
Yeah. In
1980, members founded the CAUSA International. I tried to look up what that abbreviation was. I couldn't find it. But basically, it was an anti-communist educational organization based in New York City, and then they spread to 21 other countries, which I'm assuming would be European, South American. Yeah. Because that's majority where the U.S. wanted to spread that anti-communist influence. And then that group sponsored educational conferences with evangelical and fundamentalist Christian leaders, Senate staffers, Hispanic Americans, and conservative activists.
What the fuck? So
they just branched out to all these people and were yo, join our faith, or listen to us.
He has God-tier marketing. He could sell you he would sell you air.
They even got in the pockets of some directors, and they ended up filming anti-communist movies. This was around also 1980. They filmed a documentary that was released in theaters, or it was pretty widespread in the States. People, I guess politicians knew about it, but it was about the Nicaraguan government and how they were persecuting their native population.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they were communists, but maybe they were socialists or something. I don't know about that, but and then that was a documentary. And then they did another documentary about the Soviet-Afghan War, which was in the 1980s. And also what happened in about 1980 is that the United States, President Jimmy Carter reinstated that men had to register for the draft, the selective service system. And people were protesting against that. They sent representatives from their church to disrupt the protest, right? And then in the following year, 1981, the New York Supreme Court was kind of pissed off they did that, I guess. So then they ruled that since a lot of their agendas are mainly political, they can't get can't be tax exemptions from their properties in New York. 1 year later, this was overturned within the court itself.
Damn. What? They got pull.
They have pull.
They said fix that shit.
And then they weren't taxed after that. It was effective for a year, but within the court, it changed.
Did they explain why they changed their decision?
It was from within the court.
That's crazy.
They just said oopsie daisies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. Hold on, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget it, because this is crazy.
All right, let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm good.
In 1975, Moon spoke at a government-sponsored rally in Korea. So they give him like a platform. Like the South Korean government gives this guy a platform to speak out against North Korean aggression in like this specific island. I don't know how to say it. It's Uido, the Uido Island. And this was like to an audience of like 1 million people that showed up to like watch this guy speak about, the politics, about all that. In 1976, he established the News World Communications, an international media conglomerate which publishes newspapers in South Korea, Japan, South America, and the United States.
So they just have their little fucking fingers everywhere.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to. If you're trying to unify everybody, you need to. They're literally like the Illuminati, but they're public.
Yeah.
The church member, Bo Hi-Pak, he was the founding chairman of the Washington Times.
What?
He was
That's
a unificationist.
That's GG.
The founder.
The founder of the Washington Times, and also some of the president of the Washington Times during the Bush presidency and after. We're all unificationist.
GG.
And the Washington Post, I'm pretty sure, is known for having more conservative-leaning takes on news. Like they're not like super polarizing like Fox News is.
Is the Washington Post or the Washington Times?
The Washington Times.
How many members do they have like globally right now?
3 million.
Right now?
Yes.
That's crazy.
They could found a country with 3 million easily.
Yeah.
They are a country, basically, and they only get bigger when they do their group marriages, where you feel connected with all these other. Bro, I need to. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So Tom McDevitt, who I'm pretty sure was or is the most recent president of the Washington Times, is unificationist.
So they're still just like doing the same shit. Okay.
Yeah. If not, I think he might have resigned in 2012, but still, I think there are still ties to the Unificationist Church.
I'm sure, yeah.
Richard L. Rubenstein, he was a rabbi and college professor. Moon asked him to join the board of directors for Washington Times, and even to this day, Washington Times still has very like pro-Israel news they put on. In 2002, during like the 20th anniversary party for the Washington Times, Moon was there, and he said, quote unquote, "The Washington Times will become the instrument in spreading the truth about God to the world." And then in 1994, this was like before that. In 1994, the New York Times recognizes like the church's influence, and they predicted that this was a theocratic powerhouse that is pouring foreign fortunes into conservative causes in the United States. So they called it out back in the 90s. And they still like pump money into foreign conservative campaigns. Like what's the Israel prime minister's name? Like Netanyahu? Yeah, he receives money from the Unificationist Church.
That's crazy. Dude.
Donald Trump received money from the Unificationist Church. Shinzo Abe, he was conservative Japanese prime minister. He received money from the Unificationist Church. And his family has, like, historically had close ties with the Unificationist Church.
Either this man
That's the doohickey guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either this man was chosen by God, or he is quietly the most charismatic businessman.
Dumped all his fucking
planet.
points in the charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a cult leader, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
In 1990, right before the Soviet Union was dissolved, Moon met with President Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev, to talk about just like the political and economic changes that were coming. And then after that, he sent a ton of missionaries into the former like Soviet nations and Russia itself. And then in 1991, his wife spoke at the Kremlin.
What's the Kremlin? I know that.
The Kremlin's like their
White House, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 1991, a year later, he met up with Kim Il-sung, former dictator of North Korea. And they discussed kind of like peace between new nations, like, you know, like new diplomatic relations and like an opening, like a tourist industry for South Koreans, like trying to just like rebuild bridges from the war kind of thing.
Was this?
1991. It was right before Kim Il-sung died.
He's doing that shit like he's the president of South Korea or some
Yeah.
shit. Like he's like, all right, you're gonna do some shit. I'll step in myself.
I will intervene myself.
I'll handle this shit.
In 1991, Kim Il-sung also gave his first and only interview with the Western reporter, Josette Sharon, news reporter of the Washington Times.
Of course.
Yeah.
He also would become the executive director of the United Nations World Food Program.
Holy shit.
Like, they're in the fucking UN now.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. And although he was obviously like unsuccessful in establishing new ties between North and South Korea, he was invited to Kim Il-sung's funeral in 1994.
They fucked with him heavy.
Yeah.
So he made a good enough impression on them where they actually invited him to the funeral. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he was invited to Kim Il-sung's funeral.
Did he show up? Hopefully he did.
I believe so. Yeah.
It'd be kind of crazy if he didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, come on, bro. Your whole plan.
In 1998, the South Korean government recognized what he was doing, and they let the Unification Church conduct business with North Korea and vice versa, and that was not done before. Before then, it was no, we have strict sanctions against North Korea, and North Korea was likewise no, we don't do business with the South kind of thing. But they both made an exception for the Unification Church.
They fuck with this nigga heavy. He's literally I need it.
He's changing fucking national policy at this point.
Yeah,
he has.
In 1995, the Unification Church hosted an event in the Tokyo Dome. So this was in Tokyo. His wife, this time, I think it was his third or fourth wife.
He fucking.
Hak Jahan. She made the claim at this convention that her husband was responsible for the fall of communism, and she basically made a declaration she made a declaration that her husband should now save the U.S. from the destruction of the family and moral decay.
Okay.
After hearing this, George H.W. Bush came onto the stage at this rally, or
the Tokyo Stadium.
At the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. So
he attended this event with the Unification Church. So George Bush stepped on the stage. George H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
Stepped on the stage, and he said, "If as president I could have done one more thing to help the country more, it would have been to do a better job in finding a way, either through speaking out or through raising a moral standard to strengthen the American family." So kind of just reiterate, I guess reinforced
agreeing with what he said,
what his wife was saying. In 2003, the South Korean government let them start their own political party, the Party of God, Peace, Unification, and Home. And they basically advocate, a lot of their policies advocate for the unification of the Korean peninsula through peace and the power of God. So spreading the religion more.
So they have their own political party there.
Yeah. I don't think it gets a lot of pull in elections or anything, but it's there.
Jesus.
And probably even at the table is crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine there was a fucking Christianity political party in America.
It probably is. They just don't get pull.
Well, they are Christians, just a little different, a little quirky.
In 2010, Young Jin Moon, so Moon's son, who now was president of the church, was allowed to take residence in North Korea. They gave him residency there. They let him stay there if he wanted to. After this, Moon, I'm going to call him Moon Jr., he donated 600 tons of flour to the children in the North Korean city of Jeonju, which was the birthplace of his father.
That's crazy.
And then in 2012...
He was born in North Korea?
Yeah. Oh. But he was born when the Korean peninsula was under Japanese rule, so it wasn't North Korea.
So it was always one place.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's probably why they fuck with him, too, because he's still one of them. In a sense, he has blood ties to Korea, North Korea.
I mean, they'd throw him in a labor camp for 5 years.
Regardless, if you go, because I'm pretty sure they still fuck with your lineage in some certain. So they probably, your grandfather. I mean, I'm just spitballing.
Well, that and he was literally old enough to remember before then.
Yeah. So before there was a dictator, he was nah, I remember I was just Korea.
Yeah.
Shit, all right, old timer. You cool.
In 2012, either before he died or after he died, North Korea gave him a reward they just made up. It was called the North Korea's National Reunification Prize.
They said you were so based at
he made an award
to
for
talk.
You. Has anyone else received that award since then?
No.
Damn.
Well, he's one and done, baby.
Let's say, what does it take? I want to get that shit.
In September 2021, Trump, President Trump of the United States, and Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan, met up at another one of the unification rallies in South Korea to speak out about some stuff. It looks so funny. It looks fake.
Nah, it's not real.
But yeah, he doesn't talk about the church at all. He kind of just talks about reunifying the North and South and building better relations. He probably was lost on the whole cult thing and was I respect what you're doing to bring the country together kind of thing.
I believe in unification.
Yeah, that's basically all he's talking about.
I love Korea.
Where's my manhwa?
I guarantee you Darren reads fucking manhwa, bro. There is no way he doesn't. That motherfucker loves him some webtoon, doesn't he?
Yeah, he do. Solo leveling and shit.
But yeah, as you know, was it 2022?
Yeah, I think so.
2022, there was a disgruntled Japanese citizen who shot former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at a political rally of his. Was he running again for Prime Minister or?
I'm not. I don't think he was. I think he was just.
Because this was his fourth term.
Yeah, I think he was just giving a speech or something.
Yeah, but anyway, he made this fucking doohickey I'm gonna look
That's
it
the only way to describe it. It's literally a fucking doohickey.
It's literally a gun from like Fallout, like the Raiders would made.
Oh my god, the guy with the doohickey.
It's a shaboing boing.
Oh my god, triple barrel.
It's like one of the fucking pipe guns from Fallout.
Nah, what the fuck is that? That
I've
is
never
like,
actually seen
It's
like
like
a real
fucking
picture
duct
of
taped
it.
together with like metal pipes and shit.
I've only
It's got
ever seen
wires
like
on it.
a sketch of it. I've never actually seen what it looks like.
Yeah, it's got like literally a block of wood holding it together.
It looks like someone got one of those fucking like NES zappers that they used for like duck hunt and shit back in the day, or like the arcade game shooters and shit. It looks like they just grabbed one of those.
Here's
and
like a
stuck some shit on
schematic
it.
of the thing.
That's the one I've seen. Yeah, that literally looks like a fucking Fallout weapon.
so it didn't even shoot like bullets. It shoots like pellets. It's like buckshot.
Because they can't get guns over there, so he had to make his own.
We don't condone political violence here on the Scat Cast.
Disclaimer.
But yeah, he was upset because, like I said, Shinzo Abe has a lot of ties to the Unification Church, like in his family too. Mm-hmm. He the Unification Church like funded his campaign. They gave him money. His mom, like the guy who shot Shinzo Abe, his mom was like really involved in the church, and she would like donate a shit ton of money to the point where she was like financially bankrupt. Did she die from like?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Anyway, she was bankrupt, and this infuriated him, so he went to go assassinate the president or prime minister.
So he didn't go for the actual church. He went for the president.
Yeah.
Again,
So,
what's with people like picking on the most?
Well, because it's the president of his own country who's supporting them and giving them a platform, which ends up.
Your
building
mom
all these
joined a
issues.
Korean church. That is not the president's problem.
If he's sitting there helping them out and being buddy with them, I can understand it.
and a cult is just like like egging people for money.
Specifically Japanese people because they fucking hate you.
Yeah, like I said, they even expect more from Japanese people.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that like when this happened, they started questioning him like he had some like huge like
Manifesto,
purpose.
ulterior
They
motive.
really thought he was like trying to start World War III or some shit when he shot him, and then he was like, "Oh no, I just don't fuck with the church," and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, after he said that, they launched an investigation, quote unquote. They didn't investigate much because they kind of want to sweep it under the rug, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So October 1st, 2023, Japanese government, pursued to dissolve the Unification Church in Japan. Didn't work out because they're still there. And according to one of the investigators involved, like I said, it was like I think Shinzo Abe's fourth term. So his fourth cabinet, there's like 20 of them. I don't know how Japanese politics works, but he had like 20 cabinet members. 10 of them had ties to the church.
Wait, how many
Half of his cabinet.
Okay, 40, 20. Okay.
Yeah. So there were 20 members. 10 of them had ties to the church
10, okay.
along with him. And this was basically ignored by the Japanese government. They didn't acknowledge
like a
that
game of Among
half
Us.
of his cabinet was involved with the church as well.
How you gonna kick them out? Like all of them are imposters.
It's crazy. Like 3 million. It sounds like a lot, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. Like having 3 million members.
3 million and
But the fact that there's so many of them,
They're in like very
positions of
powerful.
power,
Yeah, exactly.
that's the crazy part to me is that like almost all of them have like influence.
Journalists and like the people of Japan put pressure on Japanese Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi, who was also I think Abe's younger brother. He disclosed that he's also been supported by the Unification Church for his past few elections.
They have their hands in everyone's pockets. They're like the mob.
Yeah, but on like an international scale.
Dude, the cartel wishes they had this kind of pull.
Yo, imagine that fucking head to head.
The church would win. They have so much. They would literally.
It doesn't sound like they do any like political violence though.
They don't have
So,
to.
Oh, okay. It's not a cult without the political violence.
they don't. They don't really. But there is a spinoff of the Unification Church in America, in Pennsylvania specifically.
Of course,
That
the
get
fucking
their hands
American
dirty.
one. Okay.
Yeah, I called this section "Guns for God" because I want to bring up the school shootings. Right after
School shootings are
right after the Parkland school shooting, 2 weeks after that, this church broadcasted a prayer in which they were literally blessing their AR-15s because they thought it would be like taken away from them. Because like after that Parkland shooting, a lot of more like gun control laws were being passed. I think in Pennsylvania specifically.
So they're praying to God to let them keep their guns.
Here's one of like the priests, right? Look at his fucking crown.
That is not
it's made of bullets.
real.
His crown is made of bullets.
No crown of thorns, just a crown of caps.
For those listening, this guy is wearing a crown quite literally made out of fucking.
It's like a
Assault
bandolier on
rifle
your forehead.
bullets.
Yes.
These aren't just like fucking like handguns. These are assault rifle.
Look, every single
3-inch
member like
bullets.
sitting down in communion is like strapped.
Yeah. They're all sitting there holding guns, like in solidarity for their fucking guns. That's crazy. That is quite literally like a religion that's tied to their weapon. You don't ever really like see that. Like,
well,
you don't see people praying to guns often.
I mean, they used to pray on
They
do
that during wartime. They still pray on weapons.
That's crazy. This shit ain't wartime.
Like I was you're right.
Like I guess that means they kind of view it as wartime.
Well, they thought
those are the same kind of people that think World War III are coming.
So if they think that, like, I guess I see them taking their guns as like a threat,
an act of
violence, basically would be taking their guns. So I guess that makes sense, but that's insane to me that they would. The fact that it's ingrained that deeply in everything.
Well, they're all young. I keep looking. These people don't look like a day over like 30. Like 40 seems to be like the oldest in most of these groups. Like they look like 20.
Oh, the only one I noticed on there was definitely at least in their late 50s, early 60s. But
the women and guys are like they're all young. This is like a very young centered thing. Like this is like that fucking how do you do, fellow kids type shit.
Well, I was gonna say, like, honestly, the idea of like unity and like wanting all the countries to be
is a very young modern
idea. I don't think a lot of older people like
they kind of like being separate in their separate boxes because they grew up in separate boxes.
Like especially people that grew up like in the 60s and shit, like growing up with like the anti-communist sentiment.
You stay here and I stay here, and we don't talk, brother.
Is there any other like fucked up shit that they've done?
Not really, just take money from people.
I mean, that's
the mob.
That is fucked up. So I mean,
yeah. Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. Shout out to that episode.
White people ruin everything. Check it out if you haven't.
Served as a co-officiator at a blessing ceremony in the Unification Church in 2000.
What?
So he was at one of the weddings.
That's crazy.
These are like the homies, bro.
I need to make a fucking like a diagram of how all this shit is connected. There's a puzzle that we're unraveling right now on this fucking podcast.
Because the fact that you brought that, like, the fact that, like, religion and like, of course, religion and politics have been together, even though people want to keep them separate. But the fact that the unification took it a step further. This guy in the 1920s was like, you know what? The only way to get power is through God and politics. And this motherfucker took that shit seriously.
We're starting to unravel some shit here.
Like, fuck Red Thread. Shout out, I love the guys, but like we on some Red Thread shit right now. Like this is getting really deep.
We're gonna have to do like a fucking recap at some point where we touch on the fucking Bohemian Grove shit, the fucking Nation of Islam shit, the fucking Unification Church shit. Link all that shit together. Talk about how that links to the fucking like
9/11, assassinations,
Drake. We gotta bring up everything that's been brought up on this show and how it all comes together. That's what we gotta do.
Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the U.S. House.
Oh my God.
wrote, well, he spoke at events held by the Unification Church, and he's written like opinion pieces for the Washington Times.
Jesus Christ.
Kim Jong-pil. Stop.
I'm sorry.
That's his name. South Korean politician and former founder of the Korean Central Intelligence Agency, so like their version of the CIA, basically, supported the Unification Church.
Did he have any like prophecies on what if he predicted the end of communism? Did he say when his group of friends should have unified the world, or when he would have liked?
He didn't give a date, but he said it's going to be them.
I believe that. Like my whole heart, it's going to be them. It's going because the way they're doing this shit, it's too perfect. They have politics and religion now. They have a whole bunch of young people because that's like how we just talked about earlier with Islam. You get the younger people to keep this shit going because then they're going to teach their kids, and then there's going to be the older generation influencing the younger generation, especially if they believe in Confucianism where the old teach the young. Like this shit is like literally it's a positive feedback loop of power and influence, and he set that shit up when he was 25.
Yeah.
God or not, this motherfucker was cooking.
He was cooking something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all I got right now, basically, though.
That's a fucking insane list of fucking
achievements.
I guess
these are achievements.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, can I get into my thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I wrote down earlier when y'all were talking about it's just like, okay, I'm not really sure what my whole stance on religion is you're pretty Catholic. Do you align yourself with Catholic? Like no, atheist,
agnostic.
I'm atheist.
Atheist, agnostic. I'm somewhere in between. Sorry, Mom, but I think it's the need for purpose is such a damning thing for human nature. Like, I'm not saying, like, because I've been actually doing a lot of research. I've been listening to atheist debates. I've been listening to a lot of Christian debates because I grew up in a Christian Baptist household. I also have ties to Islam. So that's two different that's night and day perspectives right there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, who's telling the truth? Who's lying? And I don't want to say who's lying, but like, obviously, when you're intelligent and you're the only intelligent thing on the planet, it does kind of feel a little weird that like you're the only thing here capable of like deeper thoughts and morality. And okay, I'll give a little like prelude before I get into what I wrote down. Basically, the Christian argument for God is that God gave you morality. If there wasn't morality, we wouldn't give a fuck. God gave us a sense of good and bad. That's kind of what the argue for religion is. My only argument against that is like when you give like Buddhists and other people who just sat there and meditated, they're just like, why spread pain and violence? I'm like, is that not fucking common sense though? Do you really need a God or a deity to tell you, yeah, causing other people pain and misfortune isn't good on your soul and isn't good on theirs either? So like, to get into like what I'm writing down, that's my whole thing is like, I don't think you need religion to be a good person, but
you definitely don't.
But theists argue God made morality, so therefore, if God didn't exist, you wouldn't have morality because He gave you that sense of right and wrong. That's their argument.
That's not even true though, because like biblically, God gave people like free will.
That's what I was trying to say, but that's their argument for God is that God gave you morality. At least
He gave us like a code of ethics, basically.
Yeah. That's the.
Well, but even then, a lot of that is like you said, common sense, where it's like you don't hurt people because like why would you?
Well, I mean, hypothetically speaking, He did because He like defined what sins are.
Yeah, that's basically how they're like, you wouldn't know what bad from good is if there wasn't someone telling you that. Like when we were talking about pedophilia, like if there wasn't a sense of, okay, you shouldn't touch children, then that wouldn't be an actual barrier for most people. But I think in general, children as a grown man is disgusting. Like that is just not something you should be interested in.
Thank you, Alfonso. How brave.
I know I'm taking a stand, but with the theists argue that okay, if there wasn't a divine force telling you, yeah, don't fuck kids, then really what is off? As soon as they have like their first hit of puberty, there should be fair game. And back then it was.
I mean, why are you following that stuff just because it's a sin? Like it's just wrong.
Like why are you like following? As in like why are you
like? Yeah, you're right. God did establish what sin is. Is their only argument like I don't do this stuff because it's a sin, not because
it is very easy to assume that the vast majority of people have the same morals like as a baseline when they don't. So essentially like what they do with the Bible is they try to establish a baseline set of morals for everyone to follow. Not everyone's going to have the same stuff. Some people might think stealing is okay. Some people might not. So that's why they have to go through there and establish it in the book. So for a lot of people, if they weren't Christian, they might go and steal.
And I'm glad you said it because that segues into what I was having this thought when you was talking about the church earlier. I think religion and its influence on people's minds and the need for purpose is like, I don't want to call people weak-minded, but it's this idea that like you're not good unless there's a God involved. It's like you don't have like how we were talking about earlier before the podcast started, just how like when there are school shootings, they usually go for children and women and not able-bodied men who could probably fight. You always pick on weak people to get power.
Yeah.
And it's that idea that I swear on everything. I'm not going to swear any religious books. I'm not going to swear on my mother's name. I'm swearing on my principles as a person. I have nothing against your faith and your belief. I think that is a great thing that you have. I think for a lot of people, religion gets you through some of the toughest times in your life. But for me personally, I think it's really hard for me to go into this idea that like for some people, God's will. I've had a lot of misfortunes in my life. I had a lot of people die in my life. And for me, it's a little hard for me to put that burden on God. Be like, yeah, it's God's will that my best friend died in a car crash. Yeah, it's God's will that my best friend got cancer. Yeah, I'm like, God, I don't believe in this idea that like bad shit happens because God's writing that shit down in his book.
Well, like ideally, bad stuff happens because it makes you a stronger person.
Why is a mother of 4 getting cancer and leaving her children behind a good thing and making them stronger? Exactly. That is my whole point. Who is benefiting from that? No one. There is no reason to establish a divine purpose to something that is just unfortunate.
Well, I don't think a majority.
Why does there have to be like?
I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about.
Well, what I'm saying, actually, I wasn't gonna say the same thing, but
my argument is for that. What I'm saying that for the mother of that is like, people want to feel safe and secure. The most secure thing is a divine being, because therefore everything that goes wrong happened for a reason.
I don't think it's necessarily like you're gonna come out of it stronger sense. I think it's from their perspective. A lot of the time, it'll be like it's a test and everything too. It's a test of your faith.
That's what I meant. Like it makes you stronger,
like Job type shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a step beyond that, because it's not just like oh, I'm feeling swell now that my grandma's dead or some shit. No, it's not like that. It's like it's testing.
But it strengthens your faith
in God.
It's testing your faith in God. How much you're still willing
to believe in Him.
Exactly. That's what that comes down to. Like I said, I'm agnostic. I'm like dead in the middle. I'm not. I don't believe in God. I don't not believe in God.
But here goes back.
From my perspective, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. So I can see both sides pretty much equally.
And now here I'm going back to my whole point, because now when I'm listening to both sides and I'm like really wrestling with this, okay, if God is this, well, because that's the thing, no one can even agree on what God is. Some people believe God is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Some people believe He's just 2 of the 3. Like
almost every sect of Christianity.
Basically, there's 3 things He can be. And only some groups believe He's all 3. And if you believe He's all 3, then every bad thing that's ever happened, from Hitler to fucking cannibal, rapist, murderers, is all Him writing that shit down in the playbook and saying this will happen.
Yeah.
So even Adam and Eve, he made that happen.
That's the free will part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because they have to argue with free will. Okay, if He's writing everything down and you don't have a choice, how do you have free will to choose it?
There's a thought experiment about that. It's called like the penny on the street.
What does it get up?
Well, let's say you got lucky, right? You found a penny on the ground. Did you really get lucky, or was it predetermined? Because if you were to simulate, like the Big Bang and everything a million times, theoretically, if it was perfectly simulated, it's always going to end with you finding that penny, because everything happens for a reason.
The same God, and so basically they were
therefore. Like, you know, I mean, and like it evolved from another like philosophical thing about God being omniscient and like planning everything out. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, like, do we have free will? If everything's already predetermined. Like, if we were to just like simulate that a million times, I would always pick up the penny.
Exactly.
Like,
I watched. It was actually a Neil deGrasse Tyson.
He's
debate.
atheist.
Yes, but he said he doesn't believe in free will. He said that like on a molecular level, every single decision you make is predetermined.
Can you explain? Did he go into a little more depth on like why he believes that?
Well, I mean, make a decision right now. Just make a decision. Penis. So there was a whole series of chemical reactions that happened in your brain that made you think the word penis and say the word penis. You did not make that decision. There were chemical reactions done in your brain that caused you to think that and then say it.
But didn't I will those chemical reactions to make me say penis, or did the chemical reactions happen and then I?
But if I were to simulate,
reactions made you will.
If I were to simulate this exact moment perfectly a million times, you would always say penis, right? Because it's a perfect simulation.
Not even necessarily that, but like even then, if there was a degree of randomness to it as well, and he were to spout another random word, he still has no control over which word just popped into his head.
And that's his argument.
Yeah. Anytime you do any action, there is a series of stuff that leads to that point, like you said, but it's on such a small scale because it literally starts at a subatomic like position. You literally have no choice in the matter of what you do. The molecules, the fucking quarks and shit in your body are what led to that position to begin with.
So how Darren was talking about, like, we're an amalgamation of organisms. This hive mind of organisms made this decision that I made myself.
Well, they probably don't even make a decision at all.
It's your brain that does that.
Like,
well, he said it's like the quarks and shit.
Yeah, I mean, even down on that level, they're not making a decision. It's quite literally just random movements of particles. They're not thinking. It's
Your
just,
brain's stimulating that.
Yeah, it's literally
but you
just
did that for a reason.
Random particles moving around and bouncing off of each other and firing neurons and synapses and shit. They're not thinking to do that. It's just shit that happens as a byproduct of it. And that's what your thought is. It's a byproduct. That is the result of an action. It's not the thing that causes a reaction. It's like literally the result itself.
So like me exhaling, like so like my what is it? The functions don't have to think about, like breathing.
Autonomic.
So it's like an autonomic function. Like my thoughts were already made, and I'm just simply acting them out because they were already there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really agree with that either. But
it's literally like it's a philosophical
question. No,
there's no set way to say it.
No, I get that. But like when I'm thinking about it, it's like on one hand, let's just say I just go out and just murder 15 people with like a fucking machete. It is like I chose to do that, or are you saying that like my molecules like, yeah, we're just gonna kill 15 people regardless? Like that was gonna happen.
I mean, scientifically speaking, yeah. Because my perspective on that debate is that I agree with him. I just think that's a very gratuitous way to look at it. Like, I see, regardless, you thought the thing. So I don't see why it matters whether or not it's a result of the fucking quarks doing it or not. Like, for all intents and purposes, it might as well just be free will. So I'm just going to consider it free will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see what he's saying, but I don't. It feels like it's...
He almost like dumbed it down to where like your thoughts are now like a random generator.
He just explained what thinking was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's technically right, but it's like one of those like know-it-all.
Like actually, it's like, so my thoughts are random, which and to some degree I will give you.
Well, I just think about the simulation thing where it's like, if he wanted to go out and kill 15 people and he did it, like if I perfectly simulated that, he would always go out and kill 15 people. Like there's no randomness.
I don't necessarily think that's true either.
In what way?
But like if you were to perfectly simulate it, everything would fall into place for him to do that.
So let's say,
like if you moved something,
let's say the situation,
like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Let's say the situation instead was a coin toss. Then
that I don't or do murder those people.
No, like I'm just saying, like the situation is okay. You're gonna do a coin toss. What's the outcome?
There's also like
50-50. That's what math.
Well, exactly. It's not the same outcome every time. Shit.
So what are you trying to say to that? So
if you were to flip a coin, you flick the coin with like a specific amount of force that you use, and then gravity does that. You know, you have like the momentum of that, so it spins, and then you catch it, put it there, and it's like that. If I were to use the exact same amount of force, point it in the exact same direction, gravity is a constant. Hypothetically,
so mathematically, it would be the same.
If I have every single like down to like the very like minute details, like the like. You know, that much precision, it would always land on heads. There's no randomness because that's like.
But the randomness comes from like you exerting.
The randomness comes from the amount of force I put into it.
But then again, that's the exact position you move your thumb.
But then again, that's predetermined because those are factors that I manipulated. Those are variables I changed.
I guess.
I mean, I guess it could be depending on what it is. But what if it's something outside of your control, like someone else hands you the penny? And like one weighs different, one does not. Like stuff like that is outside of your control too. But
you're still changing factors, and those factors change the outcome.
Exactly. It's like that stuff is outside of your control.
Yeah, but if they were to flip it
if I were to get
if I were to simulate them doing the exact same thing over and over and over, it's always going to be heads.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. Like, no matter what situation, if you ran it back 100 times, everything's exactly the same.
I mean, I agree with you that it's kind of a nothing argument. You might as well call it random or free will because I never know.
Yeah.
But
going, because I'm glad we talked about this because that establishes my baseline. I think that for people that like to give everything up to God in a sense where they take themselves out of living life, I think, I don't want to sound mean, but it does come off as weak-minded. Because I believe no matter what, you do have to take some accountability in your day-to-day life. The people say, I'll just leave everything up to God. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like you just wake up in the morning and whatever fucking happens. Like literally you just have no active participation in your life. And like
that's what a lot of like old people say.
Some people
in
do
medicine.
just coast through life like that though.
Yeah, that's what people say in medicine. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this because, oh, I'm just going to let God decide my faith. I don't want to get a vaccine. I'll let God decide. And I'm like,
yeah,
you know.
And I mean, I don't
I don't want to say that's what I mean by weak-minded. I mean you're pious, but you're passively pious.
Yeah.
You just say whatever happened was God. So like you don't try to fix anything. You don't try to use the free will you were given. You simply are just like a fucking NPC on default mode, just letting the simulation just run its course. It
does feel like a lack of like agency and accountability, but from their perspective, with their faith and everything, everything's going to be okay no matter what
God's
happens.
plan.
So they have basically they have no reason to stress out about that stuff.
And I'm fine with that.
If you know in your soul that everything is going to be okay, so why would you stress about it?
And that's what I was going to say earlier. I don't think a majority of people worship a religion for a purpose. It's comfort.
That's why. That's my whole argument was you do it for comfort. You don't do it.
That's why people on their deathbed convert and get baptized in a hospital.
I'm saying it's to make yourself feel better. The same way we talk like morality. The whole thing of morality is that most people do things out of consequence. I feel like religion is the biggest consequence. There is a divine consequence. That's why people flock to it so much, because they need rules that matter. And in a life of random, if you do take the atheistic route, then anything and everything can happen, because we all are capable of doing as much good as we can evil. All of us can be a Hitler. All of us can be a Jesus. Simple as that. If you take out all religion and you just say people are people, we have the capability. I mean,
that's another. That goes back to comfort, because that's like thinking like that is like infinitely scarier than everybody following, the Ten Commandments or something.
Yeah, a set code by a divine figure, which gives you this sense of like, oh, we're all on the same page. We're all sinners, but we're all trying to do better.
I think the main reason religion exists is a sense of purpose.
Yes, people need purpose, which is fine.
Without religion, you literally just have to accept that your life has no purpose. There is no reason.
You make
why
a purpose.
Exist. Yeah, but that's not always something that people.
That's what I'm saying. Why do you want to take a passive? You can do fucking anything, and you just choose to say, you know what? Someone pick for me. I've been I don't know, maybe because it's part of my personality. I've been fiercely independent since the day I was born. Like you can ask my mother. I've always tried to do shit on my own. Like even like right now, like I have a hard time asking for help, and that's not a bad thing. But for me, it's this idea of even if I'd rather figure it out and ask for help later than to always expect help to be given to me or expect that there is some force putting me where I need to go. I'd rather... Okay, I'm trying to put this into words because I'm not wording this correctly. I'm independent by nature. So let's just go with that religious then. Did God make me fiercely independent? Or did I choose to be fiercely independent? If God made me fiercely independent, why would he put me on this path to not necessarily reject him, but question him in my life? If that's
a test, so you come back to him later on.
It just sounds like such a circular argument. It's like, oh, you only did this to make you love. Like,
well, I mean, anything that involves faith is going to be circular.
Well, yeah, no, faith is
there's no proof.
Yeah, that's what faith is. It's just believing to believe, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, but. I think that it's more, at least for me personally, it's taking, for me personally, I believe in self-agency above all else. I don't believe you can be religious or believe in a deity unless you believe in yourself to some degree. Like you have to have some semblance of faith in yourself before you can put faith in something else. And it's like, because I know most religious people, it's like, no, God pours all his energy into you and you're more of like a vessel. It's like, if you yourself are just like a boat with a hole in it, no matter what he pours into you, you're not going to have shit. That's like, if you want to get to like the whole like things of like sin and suicide and all this feeling of despair, it's like, yeah, he could pour infinite love into anybody, but if there's a hole in the boat that you never fixed, the fuck is that going to do for you?
But from their perspective, like, I guess he patches that hole in the boat. That's like the whole point of them doing that is that.
But that's obviously it doesn't work consistently. So like obviously,
but for a lot of people, like he is the purpose in their life. You know what I mean? Like they don't need to go out and seek one of their own because that's the purpose that like they fulfill by worshiping and everything instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, at that point, it's like, well, why would they go out and find a purpose
and
when
because
they have everything they will ever need right there?
And because people are born with an innate desire for purpose, it kind of is self-fulfilling. It's like, well, there it goes. I mean, don't have to really look that far. And I think that's also my issue is you just don't look that far. You just kind of because I mean, humans are designed to take the path of least resistance. That's why it's easier to be lazy than it's easier to be a hard worker. Why do you think so many people choose to just take the McDonald's instead of really just fucking spending their money wisely, buying a shit ton of lettuce and whatever the fuck, and actually, because, okay, I don't want to bring up food because it's going to get too fucking wordy. Basically, we choose the easier shit. I think religion is too easy, and it's a cop-out for what really life can be for you. Now, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying when you really
sounds like you are.
Why can't people just have faith for security?
I'm saying this. I'm really putting my own opinion on this. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm like I said, I'm looking at both. I'm just questioning you, and I don't think that's wrong for me to question you. I'm just I'm really just I'm not. I mean, none of you guys are really. I'm not saying you guys aren't really. I'm just saying none of us here are members of the fucking Baptist Catholic Church or whatever. We're not. At least I don't know. But I'm just saying in that sense to open this dialogue, maybe the viewers or whatever. But what is wrong with me asking these questions? I guess I'm really not coming.
Nothing's wrong with it.
Okay, but yeah, I'm not coming from a place of aggression. I'm simply just coming from a place of do you feel?
I mean, a true Christian or true Muslim would take this moment to educate you. They wouldn't be angry at you.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like cop outs and easy solutions. I don't. Not that. Isn't fucking Occam's razor the easiest solution is usually the most right? I think that's Occam's razor. The straightforward solution is the right one. And I guess in that sense, religion would be the straightforward answer if you don't need to really.
Statistically, there is a God.
Really?
Yeah. Statistically, it's more likely that somebody made this than it happening randomly on its own.
Actually, I didn't. That's
down to the numbers and everything.
Mathematically, they prove God.
Well, it's more.
That's a very clickbaity way to say it.
It's more likely there is a God than there isn't. But there's still chance.
Okay, so in the sense of because I know one of the reasons
the
Earth's position.
Statistically, it is more likely for a being to create all of this than for it to happen on accident.
Yeah,
with how perfect.
Yeah, because we're the Earth is in the perfect
even
sweet spot and shit that.
Yeah, even just the what do you call it? The for there to be life, people think life started because fucking Earth was methane and water and shit, and then lightning striked and it made little organisms that were electrically charged and had life kind of thing, and then they evolved over thousands or millions of hundreds of millions of years. Billions of years.
That's another thing, because I know electrons are the actual building force to most anything. I've always wondered because isn't it true that cells only come from life can only come from life? So the big question is, where did the first piece of life come from? And some people say it's space.
That is the question.
That's where people need to
Yeah. But electrons also are alive in their own sense. So I don't know. I'm just now I'm really thinking, because
I wouldn't say they're alive. But...
No, in their own sense, they
stimulate things to move.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're in their own sense, they're alive. But life can only come from life. So where did the first cell come from? That was a question my mom had, and she's super Christian. I've always wondered that myself. If life.
Yeah, in that case, it's more statistically likely, and it's easier to say that God made people.
Yeah.
Or there's a God and He made people.
True.
Well, and even on a smaller scale, think about how statistically improbable it is that you exist and everything too.
In what way?
When that sperm,
you won the sperm battle,
went to that egg, even if that sperm hits that egg, there's still a 1 in 6 trillion chance that you came out the way that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take that, multiply it by the chance that life exists in the universe at all, multiply that by the chance that Earth can actually sustain life, multiply all this shit. It's literally such an unimaginably small number that you're in this position right now on the Scat Cast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why for a lot of people it's way easier just to jump in and be like, yeah, God made this shit, because They'll look at that. They'll see like how symmetrical fucking like molecules are and shit. Like the fact that they exist. Like the fact that there's fucking patterns all over the place that you see in the universe and shit.
That's why like I agree to some like this shit does like I'm not knocking, but that's why I'm like.
My argument to that though is that this is the only universe we know of. We literally have no idea how rare this is.
Yeah, we have no data to pull from.
Like, you can't say how probable something is if there's only one piece of data in that fucking data set.
Yeah, like, if you flip the coin once and only got heads once, it's okay,
oh my god, I'm gonna get heads every single time.
That's kind of where the art. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So, because of that, you don't know if there is anything. You don't know
if Tails ever existed as a possibility.
Yeah, you don't know how many other possibilities there really are out there. This could be the only one, and the universe could have just poofed into existence like this. What's
something the last Thursday people like everything came to existence like on
yeah. What the fuck?
I've always believed that too, actually.
Thursday,
like Tuesdayism or something.
Yeah.
No, so the way I've always thought about it, right, is like sitting here right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that? Let me just say as an example right now. How do you know the Kroger down the street right there is there right now?
That was what happened and fucking Jasmine doing. Like, how do you know like the things you can't see actually exist when you like walk away from
like
them?
Right now, how can you prove to me that Kroger exists?
I drove by it today.
How do you know it exists right now?
Yeah, it could be burned down. You're right. It's like Schrodinger's Kroger.
Exactly. Like anytime you're sitting like when we're recording this podcast right now, how do we know that Aiden is alive?
If I call
he could have
him,
like fucking choked in his sleep or something. You're right.
How do we know he exists at all right now?
That's just Schrodinger's cat.
It is, but it's not just like Schrodinger's cat. It's like it applies to like everything. Like quite literally, when people say perception is reality, that's what it is.
Yes.
Like you have absolutely no evidence that anything exists outside of what you perceive.
It's the brain in a jar theory.
Yeah.
Like what if you're just the brain in a jar and they're just stimulating your neurons in a lab and like, this is what you're experiencing because you are your brain.
Yeah.
Stuff like this is why.
What if this is like a simulation and a fucking AI? You're in an AI simulation.
We're batteries for the fucking Terminator.
Stuff like that is why
that's the wrong movie. That's
inherently like
Matrix.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not inherently like religious at all because I'm like all that stuff is like as equally likely as each other.
Which is fair.
You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, one is just like you believe it because why else not? Like faith, it's faith. You just put your faith into it. Like you don't question it. It's like
anytime I walk past a random person down the street, I have absolutely no idea if they are conscious. For all I know, they're an NPC. You know what I mean? Like I have no way to prove that they're not.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to that person. I don't know.
I see
someone driving down the street, they could be a fucking transformer with a hologram fucking person driving the car. I don't know. So
there is that like schizo conspiracy theory thing where it's like you're never alone. Like how come whenever you're driving at 2 a.m. in the morning, there's other people on the road watching you?
Watching me? What do you mean?
Like what are they doing at 2 a.m.?
Shit, what are you doing at 2 a.m.?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Like
they're probably doing the same shit I am.
God, man, I gotta pick up this meth from my meth dealer. Fuck.
Yeah.
2 a.m.
God's drunkest driver.
Hey, if no one goes on the road at 2 a.m., that's not a real problem, right?
Yeah, but how many times have you like driven at 2 a.m.? You've just never encountered a single person on the road.
There was a time where like I was alone on the highway for like it was off of fucking 85, and
like that entire drive, you didn't see like another car, like not even on the other side of the highway, another lane.
For a good 5 minutes, there was no one on that road. It was weird. It was like,
but eventually you saw someone.
Eventually I did, but like
and they reported that to their superiors. Like, oh, this is his location.
Oh,
it's like the fucking. I've been seeing videos on the gang stalking shit recently.
Gang stalking?
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Gang stalking. It's like people. Like there's like a whole subreddit for it and everything. Basically, people go around. They're like, okay, I'm being watched by people right now. Walking down the street, they think that there's people watching them at all times. Like every time they go to the store, the same people are watching them. Mm-hmm. It gets to a point where they're like, okay, there's cars that have been parked in front of my house for a long time. These people have been watching me. They're parked in front of my house. They're probably listening into me right now. It gets to a point where they start noticing weird shit that happens in conversations with like even like, I don't know, their wife and stuff like that too. And it's like a thing where they're like, okay, the government is after me. Corporations are after me. Someone wants to get to me.
Someone's schizophrenic. Yeah. Someone's schizophrenic.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't realize that they have some kind of mental
illness.
And they go on to like forums and stuff where they talk to each other. And when they do that, what ends up happening,
I'm schizo too, bro. What?
They keep perpetuating shit like, oh my god, these people are after all of us.
Also, you have like
because
trolls
we
and
know
stuff
something.
too that will go on there
and play into it.
Well,
perpetuate it.
so I know on like the Reddit for it, it's part of the rules on the forum. You can't tell someone that they're mentally ill or ask their mental state. They'll actually like ban you for doing that.
That's crazy.
That's weird.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Though. Like trolls will go on there
And just
Yeah.
play
and
into
they'll
it,
like play into it. They'll be like, oh yeah, like watch out at the fucking Kroger today, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be there. You know, like.
But it's crazy because like I've thought about that before. Like
What?
just sometimes like driving around, I'm like, that car's been following me for a while.
Just like the Truman Show or something.
Yeah, that's what I was
Sometimes,
thinking of when he was mentioning that. I was like,
No,
yeah.
it's like you've never had that moment where like you're driving your car and you're like, that car's been behind me for like 45
I've had
minutes.
that, but I've also been that car following someone for 45 minutes, so I've seen both.
I like literally when I do that, sometimes I'll turn to like a random neighborhood and like pull in there just to like
See
make
if
sure
they
they're not
follow.
following me.
Yeah.
And the
I'll just
craziest,
slow down and let them pass me.
the craziest thing was one time I did pull into a random neighborhood and they pulled behind me. That just freaked me out, bro. You have no idea.
Oh my god, it's happening! It's happening, guys.
Yeah, no, that shit.
They get in their like Men in Black suits. They're like, John,
Come with me. Yeah.
you know too much. You've broken the Matrix code. We need to pull you back in.
Sometimes I think about that
If
shit.
that happens, turn on your right blinker and then turn left.
Dude, you're right.
Never let
Starts
them know
a
your next
fucking
move.
car crash.
Well, if it's just
know-
them two, like
You know how I have like the visual snow and everything? For those listening, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast. I have visual snow.
And my
fuck
actual
does that
Fortnite
mean?
game
I
has
never told you
visual
that?
snow.
I never told you that?
no.
I have like something where I have a condition where my eyes, everything I see has like a layer of static over it.
Oh wait, yeah, you did. You
Yeah.
have told me about this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's like technically a neurological thing, not actually an eye condition. But when that first started happening, there's a few different things I thought it could be, and one of them was I thought it was like something was going wrong in the simulation, and I thought I was actually, I thought I was dead ass seeing like static from like
You were
the
piercing
fucking,
through reality. seeing
yeah,
through
I
reality.
thought the fucking like simulation was breaking or some shit for a little bit.
And the more, okay, this goes back to the Unification Church. It's almost like any type of mental illness. Not saying this guy had mental illness because honestly, he could fucking yap. Like, he was really good at getting people to work together. But it's like seeing Jesus at 15. I wonder if there was just something in his brain that just clicked. Like, I don't know if he got visual snow, but like, people have had senses of euphoria randomly and they've equated it to God.
Yeah.
So like, I wonder if, I don't know, he like ate something weird, had like some bad shrooms or some shit. Peyote, and then he just got hit with like this overwhelming sense. Because I've actually had that experience before. Where I was like, oh my god, I just met God, and I just had this like strong sense of euphoria and like fulfillment. But I was like, where the fuck did this come from? But I was on drugs. But that's a different topic.
Okay. Well.
Obviously. But like at a point, it was just like, was that God or was it just I'm tripping? You know what I mean? I can't tell you.
Probably tripping.
Fuck if I know.
I saw angels once.
I've had a weird supernatural experience where I thought it was angels. It was before my dad died. I'll talk about this real quick because I think it's really funny. Well, not funny. I just
Damn.
think
Okay.
it's not funny, obviously, but like it's funny as in like we're talking about religion and God, and like you said you met angels. I felt like it was weird as fuck because I like whenever I was going through like even now like it's less of like a religious awakening, but more of just like you ever have like a mantra that just like keeps you like grounded, like something you just saw like let yourself know.
Yeah.
So basically, my dad died. Well, okay, lupus nephritis. You know.
I know what lupus is. Yeah.
Okay, so lupus nephritis goes straight for your kidneys. They say fuck your
Well,
lungs.
it's when you're autoimmune or your immune system attacks your kidneys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So most lupus goes for your lungs and has facial things. It's actually genetic. So a lot of women in my family have. It's usually lupus usually fucks with women. My dad was unlucky. He got it as a man. And so I'm around my dad's age when he got it, so I've been kind of watching. I haven't really gone to the doctor, but I probably should. But basically, long story short, he had lupus nephritis in his 20s, and it killed him in his 40s. And the day before shit hit the fan, well, not the day before, like a week before shit hit the fan, he came into my room, because me and my brother used to sleep in a bunk bed, and I don't know why he was just feeling nice, but it turns out my mom begged him to do this. So in hindsight, I don't know what really happened. But basically, my dad wasn't a very affectionate man. He grew up like in the South, South Carolina. You know, as a black man, the toxic masculinity is just be hard as a man. You can't show your feelings, shit like that. But anyway, long story short of it, he came into my room. He kissed me on the forehead. Which I was pretending to be asleep because I was on my fucking Kindle reading books. But I just, that was as someone who's never seen, my father never told me he loved me. Mm. So like just having this dude kiss me on my forehead, that was just like such a jolt.
Was that like before he passed? Like right before he passed? Or
before he passed, like a week before he passed, because he had a stroke the week after. And when he had the stroke, it was on a Tuesday night. We were watching Arrow in his bedroom.
Nice.
Yeah. And that because I was like our bonding. Me, my brother, and my dad would just watch Arrow together. That was like one of the few times he was just happy, but he was so sick, like his feet were swollen. Like, it was really bad. But basically, week before all that happened, he came into my room, he kissed me on my forehead. Turns out my mom asked him to show some affection to us. So that's why he did it. But as he kissed me on my forehead, and I swear to you, my eyes were closed, but I'm still conscious because I was reading and I was staying up late. He walks out the room, and I feel this warm breath in my ear, and it says, "Everything will be okay." And I, like, to this day, I know he walked out of that room, John. It was a masculine voice. It told me everything will be okay, and I felt it in my fucking ear. And
like a spirit?
Like a spirit. Like I don't know, it was a Holy Spirit, a Holy Ghost, an angel, whatever. Everything will be okay. And a week later, my father died. And when my father died, we were going through financial troubles. His death literally got us through all of that. And even now, like, recently, I came into some money because of my father. Like, fucking crazy. So, we live next to a credit union. What's it called? Whatever the fucking credit union is. He set up that account years ago before I was born. Like, I think when I was born, it was a credit union account. In Kennesaw. We lived in fucking Covington. And there was some money in there for me. And crazy enough, they tax it upon their death. For some reason, their system was fucked up, so I got the full amount, no taxes.
Damn.
It
Exactly.
was in Kennesaw?
In Kennesaw, where we live. It's 5 minutes from our fucking house.
It doxed us?
He didn't even know. He was dead for years.
Yeah.
Everything will be okay. And, like, still, I'm like, shit just keeps happening. And, like, if there was a Christian in this chat, it's like, this is God. Yeah. And so, like,
they would say this is God's plan.
Yeah. But, like, I'm at this point, it's like, I can't doubt it. But at the same time, I gotta see more proof. Personally, I gotta see it to believe it. Like,
what's proof for you?
Proof for me.
What could be more proof? You were spoken to by a voice that wasn't there, and then money appeared like years later when you needed it.
Proof for me is how my mom had a religious awakening, because my mom grew up atheist. She grew up Muslim, didn't like how Islam treated women, grew up atheist, and then she went to a church with a friend, and she like said God revealed everything to her. My dad on his deathbed said God revealed everything to him. I'm gonna need some secrets. I don't need coincidences. I'm gonna need this motherfucker. No, I don't call him motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need some.
Damn, all right.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna need some, like, I'm gonna need him to entrust in me the same level of communication he gave to my parents. If he really opened up the fucking bag of secrets and, like, showed them everything there is, I'm gonna need to see that too. Because if you did it twice, you know what I mean? I'm gonna need to see it. If the pattern is, okay, non-believer, open up the bag of secrets, open up Pandora's box in front of your eyes, okay, now you're a believer. If you do that twice, like, of course, I'm gonna be even more skeptical. Because, like, why hasn't it happened yet? Type shit. Especially if he made me this way, to be skeptical.
But I mean, what did he reveal to your mom?
To my mom, I have to ask her for her direct account, but basically the long short of it is, like, he proved himself real to her in a way. Like, every time she opened up the Bible, she had a question, like, through the Bible, she found her answer. For my dad, he was on death's door, so obviously he was like, he spoke to God. He told my mom he saw the universe. God told him what was going to happen. Of course, he couldn't remember it because he was brain dead. So, like, it was a little bit of, like, back and forth. But basically, God just literally showed him everything. And in my mom's case, all her questions got answered through the Bible. Like, literally, like, she would open a page and, like, boom, there's the answer.
Honestly, what it sounds like to me is it's a good thing because you haven't needed to have any answers yet.
But I have so many questions.
You have questions, but you don't need the answers. It's not anything you need the answers to. Your mom was probably in a position where she needed the answers.
Well, she was suicidal.
Exactly. She needed those answers. You're not in a position where you need the answers. You're in a pretty good position right now.
I guess. So you're saying, like, dire times means, like, then it's like, all right, bah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll
it helps you when you need it.
Yeah. I will.
He helped you when you needed it. Yeah.
To a degree, yes.
Exactly. There you go.
All right.
This is coming from the agnostic who does not apparently believe in God either. I'm just saying.
I'm glad we like. This was a really interesting episode. I don't know. This is cool.
So I'm surprised what direction this went down.
Well,
I did not expect this.
I don't know. This is just like, I don't know, because strange things happen. Like, you want to expand on your thing real quick? I know we're running kind of long, but I kind of want to hear it.
It was when we were at Justin's dorm and we did all those edibles, and I like half the cookie and then the gummies you gave me, and then I like greened out on the fucking toilet, and then y'all started playing music, and then you played Touch's Daft Punk, and it got to like the really evangelical like fucking
Love
choir
is
singing
the
shit.
Wait, you
answer
induced
of
a
love.
fucking spiritual moment.
I
in this,
told
man.
you drugs can make some
Well, I
shit
just saw
happen.
shit because you guys were playing music, and that's usually what I associate when I hear
Love
that.
is
So I probably
the
just saw it when I had my
answer
eyes
to
closed.
Love. I remember that shit too, because I
Yeah.
just stayed with him the
Yeah, I
entire
remember that
time.
shit too.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you sure you should be playing Touch?"
Well,
for
he
him?
said
That's
you
a
wanted to
creepy
hear it. I don't know if
song."
you
I
remember.
didn't say that.
You did say
I did say that.
did
On
not
my
say that.
mother's life, he did ask for music. I was there. I was with you in that bathroom the entire time.
I fucking hated the music. That made my shit so much worse because I started seeing shit. I saw
You
angels.
asked
And
for
I
that
was freaking out.
shit.
We told you specifically, do not play him Touch. It's gonna freak him out.
No, you did not.
Yes,
I
I
remember
did.
that shit, dude. I was
Clearly, you don't.
I was
because we all told
traumatized.
you not to.
I
Alex
was
and both told you
traumatized.
not
I
to.
remember that shit clear as fuck. Darren asked for the song, so I played that shit for him. I would have not played Touch if he did not ask me for that, because I didn't even listen to Daft Punk like that at that point
But
in
you
time.
knew he listened to Touch.
He asked for that song.
You told me he didn't ask for it. You said, "Oh no, he
What?
likes Touch. I'm
John,
gonna play
that's,
it."
that is not what happened. He asked for that song.
He absolutely did not.
I'm putting my foot
He
down.
could barely speak. He did not ask specifically.
I was like, do you want me to?
I couldn't see.
You nodded. Like he non-verbally. I was like, you want music? He nodded. I was like, you want to play this song? He was like, and so I played the song.
So he when he can't see, he looked up at the phone.
I asked him what. I was listening to Lily's song name.
So you did suggest the song.
I did. I literally listened to a whole bunch of random songs. You nodded to that one, and I played the song. Picked that shit.
That is not what happened.
That is so what
I
happened.
promised you that's
That is
not what
so what happened. That is so what happened, bro. But yeah. Anything else to add?
I think that was a wonderful episode.
Amazing. Honestly, I like where this went.
Yeah, I do too.
Let's just. So right now we have Scat.Cast. We're on YouTube. We are on YouTube. I'm just gonna abridge it. I don't have like a script. Do you want to do the script? Because I can abridge it.
Follow the boys at Cellraise.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Our friends at Cellraise. Inshallah, Allah wills it. Go to Cellraise. SELLRAZE.com, or you can find them on the App Store. The easiest way to make money online, so easy your mom can do it. Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Alright.
Yeah, just take a photo of what you want to sell. Their AI will help you generate a listing, description, fair price, all of that, and then it'll automatically go to like Amazon, Mercari, eBay, all those online platforms you want to sell stuff on. So
Help
go
them out.
check
Those
it
are our
out.
boys.
And we're basically on every social media platform, from Twitter to TikTok. You know, just type in Scat Cast, Scat.Clips, any type of denomination of Scat Cast, and you will find us. We upload every week on Wednesdays, and we also have clips, funny shorts, and videos. And we will have some YouTube videos coming up soon. I'm not going to say what, but we have some cool ideas we're cooking up.
That shit is definitely cooking. It's in the
It
oven.
is definitely in the oven.
Please leave reviews. Only good reviews though.
Yeah, if you're
And
gonna leave a
then
negative
Pat the
review,
stats. Pat the stats.
just leave.
Yeah.
Just text us. Don't have to post it.
Yeah.
Don't make us look bad.
please.
You know what?
We appreciate the feedback though. I mean, you can DM us at scat.clips on Instagram.
DM me and I'll change your mind. I'll make it a 5-star. Don't you worry. You know,
John's very persuasive.
All right.
He's almost as good as the Unification guy. Like he
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh,
I'll get there someday.
someday, dude. Once you get a cult following of 3 million, you low key, you high key have made
I've
it.
always thought about how easy it'd probably be to start a cult, but we can talk
It's
about that another
hard.
time. No, I think that should be easy as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know, man.
We can talk about that shit another time.
The hardest part is probably finding your first 100 followers. And after that, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah.
All right, but we'll catch you lovely people next time.
Have a good one.